Oh, I see. That'll work.
No, it always does. It always comes down to this. Sunday night. Hey everyone, welcome to the Friday Night Australian Gamer podcast. I'm Yug.
And I'm Matt.
And tonight we're going to be talking about our trip down to Sydney. We went to the EA Games Imagine event, played some really cool games that are coming out soon, talked to some interesting people, so we'll talk about that.
Drank a great deal of beer, which was free, which is the best kind of beer. We also got to play with the PSP now that they're launched, and we give you our impressions of that now that we've got our dirty little hands on one.
Yeah. Now, this is our 18th podcast so far. So
First.
Sounds
No,
better.
18 sounds better. 18 sounds better. We'll stick with that.
But yeah. Well, anyway, we went down to Sydney on Friday. We caught an international flight down, which means we had to be there an hour and a half before the goddamn plane left.
Yeah, that was a bad idea, but it was the only thing we could do at the time.
That was the only thing you could do at the time.
I recall you catching the same plane to the same event.
I recall you booking the plane.
I recall you wanting to get there. I did get to use Yug's credit card though, which I think is actually a good thing. I've still got that. If anyone wants to buy anything, let me know.
Okay, alright, I'm over it. Anyway, we got to Sydney, actually just made it just in time to the actual event. When we got there were a whole bunch of games that were on.
I think we should inform our readers beforehand that catching an international flight is actually quite cool because there's a TV on the plane, and you get to watch Mythbusters on the plane. And I highly recommend that as a way to travel.
It wasn't the episode where they had the plane. And did you see the Mythbusters episode where they had a big jumbo jet and they were actually testing if
it gets shot, if the windows get shot out, whether you die.
Yeah, that's right. That probably would have been a bad one to shoot.
That would have been a bad choice.
On the plane. Anyway, the EA Imagine event, once we got there, we went up a big set of escalators, got to the top, went through this dark hallway with sparkly, pretty lights everywhere.
Yes.
Got inside and got given free beers and got to walk around and play games that aren't released yet.
We saw a bit of a range of games. EA had quite a few things at various stages of launch. Launch readiness probably is a better way to put it.
What probably was extremely interesting, or I found really interesting, is the big support for the Xbox and the PlayStation 2. And there was PSPs that you could go up and play them. No Nintendo. Nothing Nintendo. Not even a goddamn, which I found interesting.
There was not a single Nintendo product either on display or announced. The only mention I heard of Nintendo was a guy who said that a game, and I think it might have been SSX on Tour, was coming out for all three consoles, including the GameCube.
There's a version of it coming out on the GameCube which actually features Mario, Luigi, and Peach.
That's
you can actually play as those characters.
I knew it was something appalling that he said. I tried to block that from my memory.
Some of the games we played that we were especially impressed with, at least one that I was, well, actually Matt was too, was Burnout Revenge is a really good one. It's probably the first one we should talk about.
I love this game. I love Burnout 3. We reviewed this as our first game, and our first review, not our first game. We've played games before. We were blown away by it then, and we were blown away by it now, or I was at least. They've taken everything that was good in Burnout 3 and they've made it better, and they've taken everything that was bad. No, there was nothing that was bad. They've just made it better. It's all good.
Okay, I did have one big problem with Burnout 3, and that was after a while, although it was addictive, loved playing it and everything like that, it really, a lot of the levels began to feel the same after a while. I mean, there's only so much you can play the same level backwards, forwards. It's going on this tiny, different route this time around. Whereas the Burnout Revenge, it looks a lot different. Not only there's day and night and different weather effects, but it seems you can actually go along different routes. You can there's quite a few different shortcuts. It did look a lot smoother. I personally thought the whole takedown sequences when you actually take down a car, I found it just slightly jarring in the original game. You'd take someone down, and then you'd sort of come back to your car and you'd
often be a little unready for it.
Yeah, whereas this one, it was just smooth as silk. Something about it just felt totally refined.
It was faster too, I noticed. I don't know whether it was just that they dropped you in the middle rather than at the start, but overall it just felt faster.
Yeah.
The cars seem a little better too. The cars, I thought, in Burnout 3 were a little uninspired.
Yeah, yeah.
Bit sort of sameish.
Especially, I mean, the other major racing game that was there on display, which EA was really pimping hard, was Need for Speed.
They had cars. They actually had cars in the convention centre. Two different cars, a cop car and a sports car.
I think it was a Honda S2000 convertible that was all done up, quite nice, all purple and pimped out and everything. And they had a cop car.
And they had a cop car and a cop. Actually, they had two cops, one of whom was
hot.
Yeah,
those pants were sprayed on.
Yeah,
they were very tight, very tight.
Yeah, the pants were tight. The ass was fine. If she's listening to this, please call me.
Don't. It's not worth it. Need for Speed, Most Wanted. Look, I was really impressed by this one. I actually played this one for quite a bit. I'm a big fan of the Need for Speed games. I didn't actually enjoy Need for Speed Underground 2 all that much. I kind of found it a little boring, to be honest. I really enjoyed this one because it got back to what Hot Pursuit was, whereas you have fucking cops chasing you, and there's just something about that which is so appealing. I mean, it's half the reason that the Grand Theft Auto games are as fun as they are.
The thrill of pursuit. The
thrill of pursuit, and the graphics weren't all that fantastic in the respect that they were very jagged. But I actually was really impressed, especially the backgrounds and the levels themselves seemed really detailed. And compared to Burnout 3, sure, it wasn't as fast, it wasn't quite as pretty and shiny, but the actual game itself felt very solid. And the cops, although the AI was especially off, there was one point where I was driving along and there were 5 cop cars who were theoretically chasing me, all just driving in front of me really slow.
Nice.
Which I thought was slightly off, but I had a blast playing it.
See, I thought it looked and played like a bucket of shit, and I've played a bucket of shit, and it wasn't great.
You don't like racing games. Burnout 3 is the only racing game that you've actually liked.
No, I've played a few more recently, and I've actually gotten into them a bit more.
Oh, now you're a connoisseur, are you?
No, I know what's a bucket of shit and what's not. I just didn't like it as a game. I didn't think it was much fun. I thought the feel of the cars were just kind of loose, and the simple fact is it doesn't matter how cool the car is, you cannot hook a car around every corner just by pressing left. It doesn't work. But it did in this game. You didn't have to control your car in any way. You just went left, right.
That's rubbish. That's bullshit. You did. What do you mean you didn't have to control your car in any way?
You could take any corner in that fucking game by full lock and floor it.
Yeah, and then you'd crash straight into the wall.
No, you just float round, drift round neatly.
Okay, well, clearly
I'm a better instinctive driver than you are.
Oh no, I just think I was really pissed by the time we were playing that, actually, later on that night.
That was in fact quite true.
Was kind of funny, you know. You shouldn't be drink driving. Cops are pulling you over. Never mind. Yeah. Okay, some of the other games that were on show, Dead to Rights 2, I didn't see that. I'm not really that interested.
I saw it. I actually had to explain to Guy where it was, let alone what it was. I didn't like it very much, but I didn't really get enough time to play it.
From Russia with Love, next James Bond game with Sean Connery. I just thought it looked like Everything or Nothing, which is not a bad thing at all. I loved that game, but
I thought it looked like GoldenEye. I just didn't think it looked that good.
You've never played GoldenEye?
GoldenEye is a great game, don't get me wrong, it's a classic, but I wouldn't really want to see it on the Xbox
now. It's completely different. Oh, do you mean the GoldenEye that just got released recently? The one on the Nintendo 64 was first person.
Are you on crack?
GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
Was a first person shooter.
Yes.
This is a third person.
What I'm saying is that I thought the level of graphics was approximately the same as GoldenEye rather than approximately the same as...
See, and this is something else we should probably mention, is that most of these games were on really large TVs.
That is actually true. They were on plasma TVs, which are really good at showing the best possible detail, but they're also really good at showing up any flaws.
In other words, the games look great from a distance, but when you're standing up close, they didn't look very impressive. They were really...
This was particularly the case in some of the PlayStation games. I mean, we all know PlayStation doesn't have quite as clear a picture. It's a little bit more muddy, a little bit less detailed, and it was quite noticeable.
Black and White 2, which was playable on a PC that was there, looked really cool. I thought it just looked exactly like Black and White 1, except prettier.
Yeah, Black and White 2 had a few flaws, actually. We noticed some very strange anti-aliasing issues where things like speech bubbles that are made up of a rounded triangle and the alpha wasn't clear on them. So rather than it being see-through by a certain amount, each element was see-through by a certain amount, and you could actually see bits of the triangle showing through the rounded rectangle. It looked a little odd, and it looked a little unpolished, and there was actually stuck at one point that he couldn't move.
It's worth noting a lot of the games were unpolished, though. I mean, these are games that are being showed with unfinished code and things like that, so that's no excuse. They should have them perfect for when we play them.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm quite frankly disappointed, and we'll be speaking to various companies and asking them to explain themselves, at which point they will tell us, who the hell are you? Get off our doorstep.
No, we won't. Oh, God, we're so not that motivated.
No, he's right. We're not going to bother.
Look, next game, and this was actually the highlight of the show for me, was FIFA 06. Now, I honestly, I don't like sports games. I don't enjoy them. I've never really enjoyed them. NHL was good because I thought it was a good random button mashing multiplayer.
And you got to hit people.
And you got to hit people and punch people. That was good. But I'm not the kind of guy who will buy the latest Madden game every year, when they update the rosters or anything like that. I don't think I've actually played a FIFA game before this, so I can't really honestly say if it's better than the last one or what's different, but fucking hell, it was so much fun. It was so easy to pick up once someone told us what the buttons actually did.
12 times for me. I still did it. I passed the ball to the goalie a lot.
It's not as bad as Ben. Ben was the other guy who actually went down with us. He's our promotions and media marketing.
Yes, he also does the sound engineering for this thing, which I'm sure he'll enjoy.
So if it sounds like shit, it's his fault, not ours.
Yeah, no, absolutely not.
But yeah, Ben actually managed to, as soon as he got the controller, kick a ball into his own goal by his goalie. So his goalie actually, instead of catching it, kicked it into his own goal. And the best thing was the commentary was actually really fun, and it was really appropriate, and it wasn't annoying or grating. Like when Ben kicked his own goal, the commentary guy was like, "Oh, he's got to be disappointed with that. Oh, what was he thinking?" It was pretty funny. You liked it too.
No, FIFA was amazing. It was really good. In fact, I'm actually going to name any of my children FIFA if I have more children.
Oh God, no.
But yeah, no, I actually was wondering what that made me think is, are we missing something? Have we been missing FIFA all along? Everyone's been raving about FIFA, and have we just kind of spurned it because we didn't like it, or was this one unusually good?
Not just FIFA, but maybe even sports games as a whole. I mean, the whole thing with EA Games finally coming on board the Xbox and Xbox Live services. I mean, that's such a big deal, and even we recognise that as being such a big deal. Yeah. But I mean, I sort of didn't care that much. I liked it because I thought fantastic, because Xbox Live is such a fantastic service. EA should be on board this.
And even aside from EA Sports, EA do distribute a lot of games that are of greater interest to us.
Absolutely. But yeah, the sports titles, I never really looked at it that much. Maybe it is something we should look into a bit more. I mean, American football, like Madden, probably doesn't. It's not.
No, the rules are too complicated.
Really follow, and we are Australian, and this is an Australian site, so I mean,
soccer is pretty simple.
Soccer's good.
Kick the ball, preferably into your own goal.
Yeah.
We'll have to discuss the details of that with Ben and explain that to him a little bit more. He clearly doesn't get it.
Harry Potter, Goblet of Fire. Look, I'll just touch briefly on this one because I'm sure there's actually people out there that are looking forward to this game. Harry Potter.
There's not.
Fanatics. Look, I never really played the games. I thought they were really fairly simple and childish. So I bought them for my younger sister, who's obsessed with them, and because of her, I got into them a little bit myself. And
that's pretty tragic. I must admit, with the ones I've played them for about 10 minutes and then gotten bored. So.
See, I just thought there was something cool, about just. I think the last one, you just got on a broomstick and just flew around the castle and just collected the jelly bean things or whatever and went through them. Look, it was a lot of fun, alright? Shut up.
Okay, I'm not saying anything at this point. I'm just staring at him just mindlessly because he's still talking.
Look, anyway, the new one the thing that I thought was really cool is it's multiplayer, 3 people at the same time. Actually,
yeah, that's interesting.
Working together, actually casting the same spells. And there's a game recently that did the same thing. I can't think what it was, where everyone would have to work together in order to actually get something done. I can't remember. Let's move on.
God, that's the vaguest game description I've ever heard. World of Warcraft, possibly Gauntlet, possibly any game made since 1970.
Yeah, alright, take your fucking pick.
Okay. So yeah, one thing I did notice is it had a different graphic style to the early games. It was less cartoony. It was a little darker.
But let's more mature again. Yeah.
Let's move on because that's boring. SSX on Tour was interesting actually because it was very different style to the early games. Particularly a different style to Tricky, which we loved.
I love Tricky. Look, it was a flawed game. It was frustrating to pull off tricks. You know,
I was good though. Like you were crap.
Oh,
you
bullshit!
had a lot of
I was great. I kicked your ass every time.
Oh, you did not. You are full of it.
God. I'd get Tricky way before the end, and I'd just be anyway.
He's much better at turning tricks than I was. He's right.
Jealous.
Yeah.
I really wasn't that big a fan of SSX3.
I'm sure
it was a good game, but I just didn't really get into it. It just wasn't as fun.
No, it wasn't as fun. They toned it down, which is unusual because normally with games they kind of go hyper, but this one they went from the hyperness of Tricky and they kind of toned it down.
And although it probably was slightly better than AMP2, I missed it as being an SSX.
Yeah,
the fun, it just didn't have it. Whereas
there was actual fireworks in SSX Tricky. Things exploded and there were pandas.
There was
and
more colour than blue and white sort of thing.
Yeah.
But in this one, SSX on Tour, look, it seemed a lot more fun. Pulling off the tricks was it seemed to get back to its absurdly ridiculous, over-the-top tricks.
They were a little more, but they weren't up to the level of Tricky yet. And actually, the only problem I really had with it is that it seems to be jumping a bit on the underground bandwagon. You're an underground snowboarder. Flaunting the law.
Snowboarding and snowboarding games have been underground ever since they were invented.
I know, but Tricky never was, and they've jumped on the... SSX series never was, and they've jumped on the bandwagon a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe. Sick of seeing underground tapped on the end of stuff. On Tour is almost
Actually, yeah, I can see what you mean. They're sort of marketing it as not SSX4, but SSX
underground.
Okay, fair enough.
But at the same time, I actually quite like the graphic style they've used. They've kind of suited the sort of this design has been done by 16, 17, 18-year-olds, snowboarders, losers while on the bus or something. It's actually quite cool. It works surprisingly well.
Yeah, it's not too bad. Another game we saw was Marvel Nemesis: Rise of the Imperfectus. It's Friday night, alright? Just give me a break. Rise of the Imperfects.
Rise of the Imperfects, yes.
I need another drink.
Marvel Nemesis: Rise of the Imperfects.
Look, I didn't play this for very long, and the bit I did play, I wasn't impressed. There was no enemies left in the room when I started to play it, and I was just running around like a girl, because I was playing as a girl.
I'm sure you were. I played it for a little bit longer than that. I watched a few people play it too, because I really like the graphic style they've used. They've actually managed to get kind of a film noir effect, but not just a bit dark, but actually kind of dirty and gritty, and I thought that suited the comic style, the without the bright colours. I thought that was quite cool.
Look, another big game that was there that I know a lot of people are actually really hanging out for was Battlefield 2 Modern Combat on the Xbox.
Yeah. Now apparently, live is where this game is at. We didn't get to play it on live yet, but we're hoping to. We've got a demo and we'll get that going soon.
They were actually supposed to have a big LAN event featuring Battlefield 2, but the code that they presented was so buggy that it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And
we were down for that. We were actually scheduled to play in that, at which point I suspect I would have just probably shot myself in the head immediately.
It's probably for the best that we didn't play.
It probably is. I actually probably would have taken the opportunity to shoot Yug, then shoot myself.
And I probably wouldn't have even known what was happening.
He would have still been playing, going, why am I moving so slow?
Look, one thing I found about this, I've played Battlefield 2 on the PC. I think it's a fantastic game, really, really good, really a lot of fun. This felt nothing like it.
No, it was a different game.
It felt completely different. I mean, first of all, it was in the snow.
Yeah, in the snow in the Middle East.
It's fine.
No, it was. Okay. It was set in a Middle East stage, which is kind of Yes, there is snow in places in the Middle East, but you expect sand.
I think more just as a demo for Battlefield 2, it didn't feel right.
No.
It didn't feel like Battlefield 2. It felt more like Halo or some completely different game.
Yeah, it felt to me, it felt and looked, well actually I didn't really play it much, I watched it a bit, but it looked to me like a bit of a generic first-person shooter put out by a lesser company.
The squad-based stuff was cool. The fact that you could switch between your squad members, there was a really nice transition effect that happened there. I saw a couple of scenes where there was a helicopter coming along and there were people shooting it out of the sky, and actually you could get in the helicopter and gun people down with Gatling guns and stuff like that was really cool. But I don't think we really saw enough of it, and it really is a game that you have to play on live to see its full potential. So yeah, we mucked around a bit with The Sims 2 on the Xbox, the console version.
I didn't actually get to play this one. I did see they did do a presentation on it, and it did look really good. I'm not a big Sims fan. I never really got into the games, but I really quite like what they've done with this, and I think it'll do very well.
For what it's worth, we did sneak a video camera into that segment where they were showing off and talking about the Sims 2 game. There was about half an hour worth of footage that we'll have on the site that you can download and check out.
Why are you saying snuck in like they didn't know we had it? I know it sounds all cool and stuff,
it sounds cool. It makes it sound like we're hardcore. You know, it's exclusive. No one else got this footage.
Yeah. We basically just stood up and said, "Excuse me, can you get out of the way? We're trying to film this."
Yeah.
It wasn't that secret.
Okay. Fine. You ruined it.
The Sims 2 was good. It was impressive. They've actually made I hadn't really read much about the console version, and I assumed it was very similar to the PC version, but they've taken it from being a kind of watching from above game and made you actually in control of a sim.
Yeah, you actually do control the sim like a third-person sort of game. Just a couple of quick things to add to this. You can become a ghost now if your character dies.
I really liked watching someone be a ghost and then vomit on one of the players who fainted. Yeah. I thought that was awesome.
Actually, of all the games we watched, this one got the best crowd reaction as well. Everyone's just laughing, and the reactions of the Sims themselves is just really enjoyable to watch. Yep. They really do react quite realistically, but just
quite realistically and entertainingly. Yeah. Well, not realistically, actually, very hyped up, which is what worked.
Yeah. And the other thing is, there's no children in The Sims 2.
No, they've removed the circle of life thing that the PC version had, because they said that they really need a hard drive to do that, and they just can't do it.
Yeah, and it's being released on the Xbox and the
PlayStation
2, and because they're not having the.
No, I knew there was a PlayStation 2 version, but is there going to be a GameCube version?
I don't know.
I doubt it.
Well, obviously,
sorry, Nintendo fans, but I doubt it.
They weren't displaying it at the EA conference. They could be. I'm not sure.
We'll look into that.
We will. Just touching on the other ones, Half-Life 2 was pretty much Half-Life 2 on the PC.
It was Half-Life 2. It looked almost exactly like Half-Life 2.
For anyone who hasn't played Half-Life 2 before, you'll be amazed, impressed, and you're going to love it. For anyone who played Half-Life 2 on the PC, look, the textures look a lot more bland. The control, feels just kind of jerky, and you're just not going to enjoy it as much after playing it on the PC. On such high resolution.
The main difference between the console version and the PC version is that in the console version, Gordon is actually a gay robot. They just wanted a different feel, a different angle for the main character.
No. You wanted Gordon to be a gay robot.
No, Gordon's a gay robot. Okay. Need for Speed Most Wanted we already talked about.
Star Wars Empire at War. Look,
I didn't play the Star Wars games because I'm a nerd enough as it is.
Alright, look, I'm fine with it. I have a love-hate thing with Star Wars, pretty much fucking everyone, but go on, quick.
Little aside here for Guy, I'm a cool dude, I've got a fancy convertible, look at my shiny hair. Shiny-ish. He pretends to be cool, but I walked into his room the other day looking for, I think it was a screwdriver, and inadvertently knocked down a box, and a box of Star Wars shit fell down.
Look.
And I don't mean just like he had the movies, or he had a book. It was full of books and cards, trading cards.
Listen, man, those things are going to be worth a fucking fortune.
You did not buy them because they're going to be worth a fortune.
Yes, I did.
You can cover it up as an investment all you like, but you're a nerd through and through. You just hide it better than I do because you don't wear glasses.
Just fucking jealous.
Yeah, I'm jealous of your Star Wars collection.
Yeah, you are.
Anyway, getting onto the games.
The Star Wars Empire at War, look, it's an RTS that is in space and on land. I'm really, really fucking excited about this one. I think it looks like a lot of fun. I'm a big strategy game fan. Did I say RTS before?
Yeah.
Real-time strategy. Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that is right. You're a smart guy.
I was thinking RPG.
There's a really nice sense of different scales in this game. I've done a little bit of looking up on it. I don't know why. But you can be pretty much everything from tiny squad base to giant space battles, and that's pretty cool.
Now look, the space battles, though, it's not homeworld. It's not a complete three-dimensional plane. You can't go 3D.
Just a flat plane.
It is a flat plane. Obviously, the ships and everything like that, when you tell them go somewhere, they fly there in a really cool pattern. If you tell them to go back, they'll actually do a big arc U-turn, and they'll use like up, down, left, and right.
Yeah, of course.
Like they'll go everywhere, but you can't
it's not really an active plane.
It's a no.
One thing I liked from some video I saw was that you can actually have major characters starring in your battles and featuring in your battles, like Darth Vader wandering through, annihilating people at will, and Obi-Wan Kenobi doing similar sorts of things, which was particularly interesting to see video of the two of them actually coming together, which I don't recall actually happening in the movies in the situation that they showed. But who cares? It looked like fun.
That's right. Last game that we'll talk about is another game that's highly anticipated, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Did you actually play the first one at all, Matt?
No, I had barely heard of the first one.
Okay, I mean, it was a very big deal at the time because it was Battlefield. It was Battlefield, but Star Wars. It was just a massive fighting game with 64 players on the PC anyway. I think it was 64 players, just set in all these famous classic Star Wars locations.
Oh, I know that one.
Yeah. So it's the same kind of thing except better. And this particular version, a couple of things we got out of it. They did do a massive presentation of it as well, and we got a bit of footage from that, which was really cool. You should really check that out because the newest edition is Space Battles. And it looks really solid. It looks Rogue Squadron. It was a Rogue Squadron quality.
I actually spent that presentation sitting in a $700 beanbag, so I wasn't going to move. We'd been on our feet all day at that point, and I didn't really care about anything other than me. So,
yeah.
And you know that police girl? Yeah. She came over and said hi.
No, she didn't.
No, she didn't.
No. Look, it was really cool. They got space battles. They got Jedi, which is really fucking cool. You can't actually be a Jedi for the whole entire game. It's set, so if you kill 3 people, you can then choose to be the allocated Jedi on that level, and then you are that Jedi for a certain period of time. And the more people you kill and the more stuff you do, the longer you stay a Jedi. So it's actually incentive to keep doing things.
I like the concept that slaughtering people makes you more of a Jedi.
Well, slaughtering bad guys or clones, who cares about clones, They're all the same. You kill one, there's another one, so it's all good.
Clones get a raw deal. They should form a union of some kind.
No, that'd be extremely bad. This is a retarded conversation.
Yes.
Yeah, look, it was really good. There were heaps of ships and stuff like that, and vehicles. Just want to get back to the space combat quickly. The video that we did, that they did show, involved having your own character on the actual Death Star or Star Destroyer ship. You actually run over in the hangar. You actually run over to your ship, jump in, fly out into space where there's all this combat happening. You can, and they actually showed us, fly into the enemy's hangar on their ship, land, jump out, steal one of their ships, and go and attack. And they actually also said, if you want, you can actually go inside that ship and take control of the capital ship and start firing on the good guys' ships.
I suspect that if they're in any way good, they won't let you do that.
Well,
the theory is you can do that, but yeah. No, that sounds pretty cool.
I mean, okay, there are also a couple of PSPs. This big round table full of PSPs on display that we got to play as well.
They had the PSPs in a black ball. It was quite cool. They were actually on this bench thing, but they were mounted inside this giant black ball. But you could take the big ball off and then carry the ball over to the beanbags, which I thought was actually quite cool, and I'm thinking of getting one of them for my PSP, because I think I need a giant black ball on mine.
Why not?
Everyone needs a big black ball. It's funny because it sounds dirty.
Yeah. The games on the PSP, didn't really get to play them that well.
No, I actually made myself a little promise to actually play every game that they had for the PSP and cover it and take notes, and you know what, I just didn't. Most of them was quite sporty, so...
I played the Need for Speed one for a bit,
I played that a little
seemed
bit,
to handle really well. It looked really good. I didn't think it looked as good as, say, Wipeout Pure in terms of just impressive graphics.
I didn't actually think it looked as good or felt as good as Ridge Racer either, and I wasn't that impressed with that, for that matter.
Okay, yeah. But look, it looked good. But those kind of games are ones that we'll have to wait to actually review. I mean, they're the kind of games which the graphics won't initially blow you away completely.
No, it's worth pointing out also that I think the PSP has got enough racing games. It seems to have a bit of an oversupply. There's Midnight Dub 3, there's Ridge Racer, Wipeout. So I think that pretty much being a racing game is going to lose my interest straight away.
Yeah, fair enough. Queer. So that was the event. That was they were the main games that we actually looked at and were interested in.
Your pick, your one pick. If you could have any of those games now, what would it be?
FIFA 06.
FIFA?
Yep.
I'd have to go with Burnout purely because I love it and I want to have its children.
Yep, and that's fair enough. I'd have to go with FIFA because I'm really looking forward to playing it with a bunch of mates.
Yeah, a bunch of
getting pissed. I think that sounds like a blast.
Does sound like a blast.
Now that was the main event. Afterwards, they had an after party where, we turned up. We walked through the dark hallway again, except this time at the end there were a whole bunch of people holding champagne glasses.
Yep.
And there was an entire table just filled with champagne glasses, and it was just loud music. There was some band playing they were from the Ministry of Sound album a while ago.
Yeah, they were okay. They weren't bad.
Yeah, they were good fun. Look, it was quite fun. We got to talk to a lot of interesting people.
Yeah, and we met some really cool people.
Met one of the stormtroopers actually.
Yeah, cool. We met a stormtrooper. He took his stormtrooper duties very seriously. I actually respected him for that.
I think his name was Peter. He was from the Vader's Fist, the 501st. That's actually featured in Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2.
Something that starts with battle.
Yes. Their squad of stormtroopers is featured in this game.
Yeah, he mentioned
actually picked them up and featured them in the game, which is cool. And for a Star Wars fan, that's got to just be the ultimate thing that can possibly happen to them.
He said they were actually hoping there'd be assigned serial numbers in the game, so he could run along and actually shoot himself in the game, but
play with himself. Sort of
sad,
thing.
Yeah,
as himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
They didn't do that, which is a pity.
And we did talk to a lot of other people, but I would have to say the most interesting conversation we had, and might I add, this was at the end of the night when.
So we may have used words that didn't exist.
I mean, I was just off my pickle. It was just I'd had so much wine, and they were going down so quickly.
I was actually okay, but was not well.
There was one point I was told the other day, Matt was saying that Ben actually ashed in my wine glass
and then raised
his glass to toast. And of course, I'm pissed. I'm just raising my glass. Cheers, yeah, kicking it back, and I didn't know. And they just kept toasting. And at the time, I was just like, yeah, this is great. We're all mates. We're in Sydney. It's all games and everything. Yeah.
Yeah. He thought we were having a bonding moment, and I was trying so hard not to laugh at him.
You dirty fuckers, pretty much.
Yeah, it was good.
But anyway, at the end of the night, we actually there was a lady that came up to ask for a light for a cigarette. That seems to be the way to meet everyone these days. And she told us she was involved in the marketing of the Xbox, and we got talking. And then she brought her friend over, and her friend turned out to be Nick Sega from. He's a product marketing manager for the Xbox in Xbox 360 in Australia and New Zealand. And we immediately picked a fight. I don't know if it was because we were pissed or because we felt like we do represent Australian gamers, and
For you guys, we picked a fight. We
That's
stood
right.
on your behalf. We stood toe to toe, and we didn't back down. And
I mean, the main things we
kicked his
brought
ass.
up were why
No, we didn't.
the hell is the Xbox 360 being released in March? I say that in quotation marks as well because it's not definitely determined or confirmed yet. Or after Christmas anyway, when it's being released before Christmas in the States, in Japan, and pretty much everywhere else. Why is Australia, which it'd be so easy just to fill this country up with Xbox 360 consoles compared to like the States, why can't we just get a few Xboxes in to actually be...
Now, to my opinion, he didn't really fully address that issue, not to my satisfaction. But
I don't think he really could, though. That was the thing. I got... And this was the thing, that he was saying there was something that was going to happen for people who were really keen to get...
But that
Xbox
doesn't explain
360.
why he didn't just do it.
No,
like
but
we said.
hear me out. I mean, you remember he was saying that there's something that's going to happen before Christmas, which will make the Australian gaming public that is interested and keen to get their hands on an Xbox 360, it will make them be okay about waiting. His exact words were, "It will make you masturbate."
Those were his exact words.
Those were his exact words, which I was like, look, I'll be doing that anyway. So
that won't take much.
No.
Picture of Jessica Alba on there.
I'm just going to take this Jessica Alba wallpaper off and leave it out. This is kind of really disturbing me. But look, the one thing that I did get from him though, and which I thought was very cool, was he was really passionate about what he was talking about.
He was passionate, he was sincere, and he actually did seem to really care about his product, and I think that says a lot for him.
So, I mean, hopefully we'll hear back from him. If we don't, we'll get in contact with him because we'd love to actually get a lot of our answers straight from, the horse's mouth, so to speak. I mean, he
That's
said...
harsh.
What?
I don't think he was a horse. Okay, shutting up now. Yeah, no, it was really good to actually have someone to ask the questions we've been wanting to ask, and it's worth pointing out that this is the man who specifically made the decision not to launch at the same time.
He said it was my choice not to launch before Christmas, and his reasoning for that was I didn't want to launch with 5,000 consoles in Australia because that would not meet market demand. He wants to launch with 50,000 consoles, which
seems like a big number to me for Australia. I mean, I don't know what the market in Australia is like, but that seems like a pretty big number. But in any case, he seemed very sincerely to believe that it was in the best interest of Australian gamers to delay it. So, I don't necessarily agree with him, but we'll
find out more
choice.
though. I mean, we'll look into this and we'll get in contact with him.
He's promised some big announcements, and he's promised specifically Australian gamers some interesting news and stuff. So we'll definitely have some more to let you know.
Yep. Well, look, that was pretty much the Imagine conference, and it was really a lot of fun. It's the first one that the first gaming event that we've been to, and yeah, it was heaps of fun. Really, really good.
I have to say, personally, the thing that impressed me the most about the EA Imagine event was the quality of the ladies. Some beautiful girls there. It was quite amazing to see how many of these fine young ladies were hanging around. Now, most of these were not gamers. They were,
but they weren't
media.
They
people.
weren't promotional people either.
No,
they
were
people in the media. So
they
it
were
was
guests.
It was. This was not an event that was populated by a whole bunch of geeky, stereotypical gamers or anything like that. This was, except you. Yeah, I know.
It was really good to see that of the stereotype of gamers, it's kind of gone now. There doesn't seem to be that. There are certainly those people, and frankly, I think they're all on Warcraft. But it does seem to be a much broader range of people now playing games and involved in the games industry, and that's good to see.
There were other people that weren't really media. I mean, we met a whole bunch of people that we've talked online to for quite a while. We met all the guys from Xbox Zone, which is really cool. Met one of the guys from Aussie Xbox, which was really cool as well. Met Ganondorf from the EA Play forums, and that's really good. I've been talking to him for a while. Who else did we meet? Matt got hit on by some guy from Atomic NPC, which I thought was extremely hilarious.
I don't know that I'd say hit on. We got along well.
It was more a case of actually Ben ran out and I'm like, oh, where's Matt? And he's like, oh, we were talking to that guy from Australia, Aussie Atomic NPC, and I was like, oh, hold on a second, I'll be right back, and just left him with Matt. So, and we looked in, and there was this guy with his arm around you.
He wasn't from Atomic. He was from PlayStation 2 magazine.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, well that makes it better.
Yeah, and yeah,
that explains why he came home late. Okay.
I came home with you, dude, in the taxi that took us home via North Sydney. He went totally the wrong way. Yeah. Taxi drivers in Sydney, we were really stunned by taxi drivers in Sydney because we hadn't really experienced the joys of this, and we were really surprised by just how much they want to die.
Oh no! Look, I already knew all this.
Yeah, Yugs lived in Sydney, and I haven't.
But I did find it funny, especially that, like we said, look, we want to go back to our hotel. It's the cab driver when we left the Imagine event that night, and he started driving towards North Sydney.
Yeah, we said the Carlton Crest.
We wanted to go to the Carlton Crest, and he started going over the bridge. And I mean, I've lived in Sydney before, and I was just like, we're going in not just completely the opposite direction. We're going over the river, and I would love to know where he thought he was taking us.
He said Carlton, because we said Carlton Crest, and it was like he was going to, I don't know,
Carlton Breweries or something.
Or something,
like that,
yeah.
Up in Queensland.
Charleston's Chest, I don't know, something.
Yeah. So anyway, that was the Imagine event. A lot of fun, really good, and we hope to go to the next one next year.
I'm sure we will.
Because it is an annual thing. The one we went to was the 5th one. So they've had 5 of them.
They have indeed.
It happens.